Can you find the hidden secret in this scene? What about this one? Well, you probably can't. That's because there are some secrets in My Hero Academia that can't be found by watching scenes at normal speed. So that's why I watched the entire My Hero Academia at 0.25x speed in order to find the craziest secrets you never noticed before. For example, in the very first episode of My Hero Academia, we see young Deku at the doctor's office to find out if he has a quirk, and that's when he gets the devastating news. He's quirkless. The doctor, who introduces himself as Dr. Tsubasa, shows Deku's x-ray to Deku and his mom, which shows he has 2 joints in his pinky toe, meaning he'll never develop a quirk. But this wasn't just any doctor. Dr. Tsubasa was actually Kyudai Garaki, All for One's right-hand man. We all know how Mineta gets super annoyed and jealous of Shoto, especially since all the girls can't stop swooning over how good-looking he is. Well, in the final episode of Season 6, Mineta decides to try acting like Shoto. Yep, he's clearly hoping this will make the girls start fangirling over him too. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Instead, Hanta steps in and gives him a well-deserved slap on the head for being ridiculous. Nice try, Mineta, but you're no Shoto. During the start of the show, you might have noticed that Shota Aizawa didn't have a scar under his right eye, which we of course see later in the show. That's because during the USJ incident, Aizawa gets seriously injured by the Nomu after Shigaraki and Kurogiri attack Class 1A. Although All Might comes to the rescue, Aizawa almost died. So after that battle, he's first seen with bandages on his entire face, and later he is left with a permanent scar under his right eye. It's a small detail, but it's a constant reminder of the sacrifices he's made as a hero and teacher to keep his students safe. Remember how cute Kid Deku looked in his All Might onesie? Well, if you were paying attention to the All Might onesie's details, you might have noticed something cool. We actually see him in another All Might onesie later on. That's right, little Deku didn't just have one, he had multiple All Might onesies. He really was the ultimate fanboy. During the Paranormal Liberation War, we sadly lost one of our beloved pro-heroes and teachers, Midnight, who gave her life fighting the villains. And if you didn't know, Mount Lady and Midnight were very close friends, although they didn't act like it. So in Season 6, Episode 18, while the heroes are recovering after the war, we see Mount Lady holding Midnight's damaged mask, and the sadness in her face says it all. In Season 2, Episode 23, during the final exams battle between Koji Koda and Kyokajiro versus Present Mike, Koda finally gets enough courage to use his quirk and covers Present Mike in bugs. Not only was this Present Mike's nightmare, but all the students were completely grossed out. But if you look closely, there's one person who isn't bothered at all, Asui, and it makes total sense. Since she's a frog, bugs are probably no big deal for her. If you think some of these details and secrets were cool, you haven't seen anything yet. Because this was only the first level of secrets I'll reveal in this video. And with each level, the secrets will only get harder and harder to find. And I doubt anyone knew the secrets I found in the last level. So, moving on to level 2. After the intense battle at Jaku City between Deku and the heroes against Shigaraki and the villains, we see Deku in the hospital, badly injured. But then, in the final moments of Episode 18 in Season 6, we see him on a rooftop. Now, if you look closely at Deku's hero costume, you might notice something new, a yellow scarf that looks pretty damaged. Well, here's the cool part. That scarf isn't just any scarf. It's actually Gran Torino's cape. He gave it to Deku while he was in the hospital after the battle. Such a small detail, but it really shows how much they care about each other. When Deku reveals the hero name he's chosen in class in Season 2, Episode 13, you might notice his handwriting looks pretty terrible. But it's a pretty simple explanation for this. As you can clearly see, his hands and arms are completely covered in bandages, and that's because he's still recovering from the brutal injuries he took during the sports festival against Shoto. So of course, trying to write while still healing from all that pain isn't exactly easy. In Season 3, Episode 14, Deku is about to talk to Mei Hatsume, but just before he opens the door, it explodes. When he finally opens his eyes, he sees, well, part of Mei, and he's completely freaking out, trying his best to look away. Fast forward to Season 7, Episode 4, and Deku goes to talk to Mei again. What happens? The door explodes again, and once again, Mei lands right on Deku's face. But this time, Deku stays calm and collected, keeping his focus and not looking away. If that doesn't scream character development, I don't know what does. During Kirishima's backstory, we see how a huge and scary figure walked up to 2 girls from his school and threateningly asked them for a location, but the girls were too terrified to say anything. This monstrous figure took their silence as offensive and put his hand on a building, which caused the building to start breaking down. Also too scared to do something, Kirishima just stood frozen. But Mina Ashido came to the rescue as she jumped in and made up some directions. After thanking Mina, it wandered off while rambling about everything he does for his master. But who was this scary monster? Well, it was actually Gigantomachia, All for One's former bodyguard. Did you know this secret? Before rescuing Bakugo, the Bakugo rescue team needed disguises, so they quickly go into a shop and come out looking pretty familiar. Well, that's because they have all disguised themselves as other pro heroes. Deku is Present Mike, Shoto is Midnight, Momo is Uwabami, and Kirishima is Mount Lady. We all know Denki Kaminari can generate electricity, but did you know he actually eats electricity to get stronger? Yep, in the sports festival, it's shown when Denki is just munching on a pack of chips and a portable charger during lunch. It may seem weird, but he's basically stockpiling both his own electricity and adding extra power from the charger to boost himself up. It's a pretty unique way to keep his electricity levels up, and it explains why he's always ready to zap someone when the time comes. That was level 2 done. Although some of these secrets were hard to spot, you have seen nothing yet, as the secrets in level 3 are just insane. For example, in Season 6, Episode 24, during Uraraka's heartfelt speech about why Deku should be allowed back into UA to rest and recover, the civilians are completely against the idea. They're terrified that bringing Deku in will make UA a target for All for One and the other villains. But then, one of the civilians steps forward and speaks up. He tells everyone how Deku has been out there risking his life, fighting non-stop to keep them safe, and pleads with them to let him stay. Amazingly, the crowd starts to listen. But wait, doesn't this guy look familiar? That's because you've actually seen him before. To catch it, you'd have to go all the way back to Episode 1. He's actually standing right next to Deku when they're watching Mount Lady and Kamui Woods take down a villain. That was a crazy detail, right? Well, have you seen this secret about Deku's hero notebook? If you pay enough attention to the writing on the book, you can clearly see that the hero book that Bakugo unfortunately burned was Deku's 13th notebook. And in the recap episode 13.5, you can also clearly see all of his previous hero notebooks. So, there must be a lot of heroes if you have 13 books. Talking about Deku's hero notebooks, let's continue with some of the heroes he's written about in them. First up is Ochaco Uraraka, and if you look closely, you'll notice that he's still using hero notebook 13, as you can see burn marks on the edges. Then we have Mount Lady, Kamui Woods, Shota Aizawa, and of course, All Might. But here's the funny part. All Might's page doesn't have a detailed breakdown like the others, it's just All Might. No explanation needed for the symbol of peace, which I fully understand. Now, I can almost guarantee you've never noticed this hidden detail. During the second ending song of Season 4, we see Deku sitting in his UA dorm room, surrounded by his usual All Might merch. But if you look closely, there's a new All Might poster on the wall, the 10th anniversary All Might poster. Recognize it? That's because it originally belonged to Sir Night Eye. We first see this poster in Season 4, Episode 3, hanging in Night Eye's office, where Deku was completely fanboying over it. After Sir Night Eye's heartbreaking death during the Overhaul arc, it looks like Deku ended up with the poster as a way to honor him. Throughout the series, we mostly see Yuga Aoyama either sparkling dramatically or clutching his stomach in pain. But did you notice something else? We actually see him looking straight at us. Yeah, Yuga actually breaks the fourth wall a lot of times. For example, there's a moment in class where he stares directly into our souls. During the bus ride to USJ, he sneaks another glance our way, and even during the entrance exam, he just couldn't stop looking at all of us viewers. Before we move on to level 4, there's one last secret to uncover, and it's about Fumikaze Tokoyami. We've all seen his red neck and probably just assumed it's part of his bird-like appearance, right? Well, guess what? That's not his neck. It's actually a red choker he wears to cover it up. And here's the craziest part. Even after watching the entire series at 0.25x speed, I never once caught a glimpse of him without it. That's some serious dedication to his look. Pretty insane, right? Alright, we're finally at level 4, and I hope you're ready because all the secrets we have left are absolutely mind-blowing. During the Hero Billboard Chart Japan event in Season 4, Episode 24, there's a surprising guest star hidden in the crowd. Can you see him? Deadpool. But why is Deadpool in the crowd? Well, it's no secret that Horikoshi, the creator of My Hero Academia, is a huge fan of Western comics. Throughout the series, you'll find tons of nods to Western pop culture, like twice being heavily inspired by Deadpool or locations named after Star Wars references. So honestly, it's no shock that Horikoshi would sneak Deadpool into the series at some point. When the Liberation Front Mansion Attack hero team was gearing up to start their attack, I noticed something, or rather someone, who looked very familiar. For a second, I thought I saw Denji, aka Chainsaw Man, from the Chainsaw Man anime and manga series. But nope, it wasn't him. It was Handsaw Man instead. Talk about disappointing. But the crazy part is that I went back and checked the manga, specifically chapter 259. And guess what? I was right. The real Denji actually appears alongside the heroes in that scene. It's such a shame they swapped him out for Handsaw Man in the anime because it would have been such a fun crossover moment. When we first see Endeavor interacting with Shoto, his eyes are cold and harsh, reflecting his obsession with power and his rigid, unyielding personality. But as the series progresses, we witness a dramatic change in him. Endeavor starts to reflect on his mistakes, value his family, and truly embrace the love he has for his children. By Season 4, Episode 17, his transformation becomes crystal clear. His once intimidating, hardened gaze has softened into eyes filled with love and determination as he promises Shoto that he will become a hero his son can be proud of. It's a powerful moment that shows just how far Endeavor has come. While many fans struggle to forgive him for his past, there's no denying he's undergone massive character development. Now, back to characters that look very familiar to other anime characters, and this time we have this huge Endeavor fan on the streets in Season 4, Episode 24, who looks just like Natsu Dragneel from the anime series Fairy Tail. But if the similarities don't convince you, maybe this will. This random side character has the same voice actor as the real Natsu. And if you missed him the first time, he actually makes another appearance in Season 6, Episode 14. All these little connections can't just be by chance, right? Did you know all these secret details? Comment down below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.